I was born in South Africa in 1933, and for a young white boy I had a pretty normal school to matric, university, became a civil engineer. But I grew up in a home of two people who were communists, my parents, and learnt that I have to respect people. Race was not important in our home, and we had visitors of all races to our home, who would sit at meals with us, and so it was normal for me. Workers went on strike, we went and took food to them, or coffee. Black, white, didn't matter. But I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to build for people. I was able to go to university. Difficult time for my father, but I went. And this was at the time I started, 1950, really the years of the hard apartheid coming in. And I went to a university which was all white. When I went to work, I discovered I could build for white people, not people. And so I became politically active to help change our country so I could build for people. I was in a non-racial organization called Modern Youth Society, then Congress of Democrats, which was allied to the African National Congress, Colored People's Congress, Indian Congress. I was arrested in 1960 in the state of emergency after the massacre at Sharpeville and the similar little one in Cape Town at Langa. 4 months in prison, and discovered you can live through prison, but it's tough on your family, children and wife, and the sense of how do you feed your family when you've lost your job was terrible. But I was able to get another job, and then there was the call to form Umkhonto we Sizwe, 1961. And I was asked to be there because I'm an engineer, you need technical skills. And so I joined as technical officer in the Western Cape. All over the country things were blown up. Government brought in the 90 days law. You could be held for interrogation. And interrogation obviously meant torture. And they could hold you for 90 days and 90 days, however long they wanted. And so I was instructed to go to Johannesburg to our high command from our regional command of the Western Cape. I was to leave the country to get training and come back, but the High Command asked me to stay, be the weapons maker for what we called Operation Maibuya. Come back Africa, I would be the one who made the explosives, landmines, hand grenades and so on. But we got arrested after 6 weeks in July 1963. Then came the 90 days, detention without trial, torture. People were killed, murdered then. We put on trial. Nelson Mandela was accused number 1. He was already serving a sentence. Walter Sisulu number 2, me 3, Governor Becky 4, 10 of us on trial. 2 were found not guilty in the end. We were charged with a conspiracy to overthrow the state by force of arms, and 3 other related charges. The evidence against us was so strong. Nelson set the tone, Nelson Mandela. We're not going to apologize. We're going to say why we undertook a struggle to overthrow apartheid. That it was necessary in the interest of all the people of South Africa. And the state had so much evidence against us, and they wanted the death sentence, there was no question. And the media wanted us, white media wanted us dead. And I have to say, because I was white, their hatred for me was even greater, because they saw me as a traitor. Mandela, they didn't like him, but they could respect him. I experienced this the whole time I was in prison as well. And at the end, we're found guilty, and the judge sentences us to life imprisonment and not death. And when he said life, we laughed, because we were certain we were going to die. During the trial, Nelson Mandela made that wonderful speech about wanting a society where people, black and white, could live together in harmony. And it was an ideal he hoped to live to see achieved, but if needs be, it was an ideal for which he was prepared to die. I think the biggest moment in my life was being there with him when he said that. And then when the judge said he's not going to sentence us to death but to life. Both great moments. Well, 22 years in prison. Then I went to England to join my family who had gone into exile. 9 years in the ANC office as a speaker for the ANC all over the world and at the United Nations. And then comes 1994 and liberation. I voted for the first time. I wouldn't vote before, even though I had the right to vote. And I got a South African passport again. I was using a British passport before that. I felt at home. Now I would be at home in South Africa. But I wanted to be with my family, so I stayed in England and I set up a charity to provide funds for projects here in South Africa. Books for children, a clinic for Medunza, a rape crisis in Cape Town we helped to fund, lots of things. And now, after that, I became an advisor to the Minister of Water Affairs, first Ronnie Kasrils, and then Mrs. Buyelwa Sandika. And then I was retired. And so since the end of 2006, I've been retired. And 2006, I'd remarried. My first wife died. My second wife I married, and she died the end of 2006. My daughter died in between. She was 46. And I live in Cape Town. I'm at home there. And I raise funds for social projects. I raise funds for social projects. Ububele at Alexandra Township trains people to deal with the traumatized children, HIV and AIDS children, abused children, their parents, rape crisis in Cape Town still support, but also a music project where I live in Cape Town. Some other things as well. And this is what I spend my life doing. I also lecture wherever I'm asked to. And when people offer to pay, I say, no, you make a donation to my charities. And so I fund the charities, or help to. So that for me, my life has come a kind of full circle from not wanting to be part of apartheid as an oppressor and taking too long to make a new South Africa that I could really work as an engineer, then working in water affairs where I could use that training for 4 years as an advisor, and now helping with reconstruction. And I must say it's very exciting. I feel my life is fulfilled.
Thanks for that. Besides the moment when we were in the dock with former President Mandela, when he made that historic speech,
Yes.
statement, what would be, in comparison, your experience, your best moment post-apartheid South Africa?
Well, first getting home to meet my wife again after being released, which was 1985, not quite post-apartheid, but apartheid was coming to an end. And then voting for the first time for our free South Africa. And then being able to come home. Eventually I came home in 2002 and worked as this advisor in government. And I traveled all over the country. And I saw how big our problem was. The real rural poverty, the absolute need for transforming our economy, of homelessness, of children not in school, of some people feeling quite hopeless about the future. And big moments, the inauguration of Nelson Mandela. I was there. It was exciting because when I was in prison in Pretoria, I wasn't on Robben Island, special prison for white political prisoners. Every 5 years, a new president is inaugurated in apartheid, and the aeroplanes flew over our prison, and I would look at them, the fighter planes with the colours of the flag, and I would think, I want that wing to break off. And I'd say, bend, bend, I want you to break. And then Madiba was becoming president. We were all up in the union buildings, and now the same aeroplanes are flying towards me. And now they're my aeroplanes, our aeroplanes. It really was exciting, I must say. And to watch him make that final acceptance speech. You know, Madiba had a trick, I don't know where he got it from, of saying the right thing in a brilliant way. This is an ideal for which I'm prepared to die, he said. Oh, set the world on fire. He gets inaugurated and he says, never, never, and never again shall one rule over another as in the past. Let freedom reign. Oh, what a glorious, triumphant, unbitter statement. We've achieved our goal. What a moment. But of course, some sadnesses. I knew it would be a hard task. I do find that corruption is steeper than I hoped it would be. I knew there'd be some opportunities to get rich. You know, I lived under English segregation, and the English got rich. 1948, the Afrikaners came to power, they got rich. 1994, a new group, Africans and coloured and Indian and white, came to power, and many saw the opportunity to get rich. Unfortunately, that's the nature of our society worldwide. So that's somewhat disillusioning. But at the same time, I mean, where I live in Cape Town, I see little kids from this Imizamo Yetu settlement, 40,000 people, 70% unemployed. But I see the little kids come tumbling out of school and running down the road to go, that never happened before. That's exciting. And they're so excited like little children everywhere. And I watch SABC television in the morning, and the experts are all races. It's no longer just a white economist, a white doctor. Our people are there, all our people. And people say nothing's changed, but it has. I go onto the university campus in 1950 when I started, it was all white. And now I see, hey man, this is, our country is at the university. So I think great things have happened. I really do.